Semper Fi, brothers. Thank you. Let's gather our aldermen. We'll go ahead and start, yeah. I'm very proud to call this meeting to order. If you can stand, if you would stand and follow along with the Pledge of Allegiance and an invocation by Chief Martin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, Mayor, Board, and guests. Please join me in prayer. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for another beautiful day in the Ozarks, and really thankful as we come out of the Thanksgiving season and enter the adoration and Christmas season here in Branson, Missouri. Thankful for the return of our mayor. Thankful for the guests that are visiting very heavily right now through our community. Thankful for our staff, as all of our city staff, as they work diligently to close out this 2025 year. But we're also thankful for special employees like Kurt, who went above and beyond and made a positive impact here locally as well. Father, we lift up the agenda to you tonight. As the discussions are held, decisions are made, that they be honored and glorified to you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Chief. I was looking for Clay.
Alderman Cooper left. He was not going to come back. He
Oh, I thought it was something we said. Okay. Then, Madam Clerk, then would you please take a roll call vote?
Lucas, Howden, Cooper, Milton,
Here.
Denham,
Here.
LeBlanc, Schultz.
Here.
Your Honor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. You know, before we get started tonight, I'd just like to say a few words. It is great to be back. I was lifted up through my rehab I truly felt the prayers from this community. And it was very strong. There were many times in rehab that I needed that extra strength and that extra push, and it was your prayers that lifted me up through that. So I wanted to thank you all for that. It is very good to be back. I was going to tell Clay Cooper that he was fired. However, I think he already feels that, and he just left the scene. I'm obviously saying that in jest. I worked very hard through rehab. When I came out of surgery, there was a lot of unanswered questions of how I'd come out of that. And rehab was a long, hard journey for both me and my wife. Leanne's been a real trooper. I put my heart and soul and dedication into coming back as your mayor. I will tell you I have some additional goals, which does include I'll be walking again, and that will obviously be a proud day. But I just really wanted to take a minute and share with you our entire community. I have a card here that's signed by a lot of our city staff. I haven't had a chance to read it, but I'm assuming our directors have signed it, maybe Kathy and Alex. But I appreciate that. I appreciate the flowers and the huge welcoming home. So it's a two-way street, and I will stop rambling. Thank you very much. That means an awful lot to me. So with that, let's get back to business at hand. We have an Employee of the Month that Amanda will be presenting. So would you like to present that, Amanda?
I would. It's great to see you.
Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to ask Kirk Standridge to come up and join me here. So we had a little bit of a schedule problem in November, so tonight we are going to recognize Kirk for November's Employee of the Month. Kirk Standridge, whose quick thinking, awareness, and calm response made a significant and potentially life-saving difference. When a fellow team member began showing concerning signs of a medical emergency, Kirk recognized that something was wrong and took a swift, decisive action to ensure that they received urgent medical attention. Because of this attentiveness and rapid response, the employee was able to receive timely treatment and return to work healthy and well. Kirk's actions highlight the profound impact that being observant, aware, and engaged with those around us can have. Knowing the signs, trusting your instincts, and stepping in when something doesn't feel right, and it can even save lives. His professionalism and genuine care for his coworkers embody the highest standard of our department and remind us all of the difference we can make when we look out for one another. Thank you, Kirk.
Wow. Wow, Kirk, very, very impressive. Thank you. Thank you. He is tall. Thank you, Kirk. Wow. Thank you for that, Amanda. This is now the public comment section of the Board of Aldermen meeting. At this time, the board will hear the citizens who have signed up in the order they are listed. Please note, the clerk will let speakers know when they have 30 seconds left, and a notification will sound when their time is up. We ask that speakers wrap up their comments upon hearing the 30-second warning. If a speaker would like a board member to bring an item from the consent agenda down for additional discussion, please note this request during the comments. Please come to the freestanding platform to address the board. Madam Clerk, do we have any speakers this evening?
Yes, sir. We have one speaker. Lori Hayes is speaking on Advocacy Award for Alderman Schultz.
Good evening. This will be the quickest public comment ever. I am Lori Hayes, Executive Director of the Branson Area Lodging Association. Last week, we held our annual Christmas Gala, and unfortunately, Alderman Schultz was unable to be there, so I wanted to recognize him in public for his willingness to meet with our group and help with various topics through the year. This is our first advocacy award, and I'm very proud to award it to Alderman Glenn Schultz.
Thank you, Lori. Laura. Next is the consent agenda. Are there any items that any member of the board or staff would like to have moved down from the consent for additional questions or comments? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you please read the items on the consent agenda?
Your Honor, the items on the consent agenda are as follows. Approval of the Board of Aldermen minutes for the November 20th, 2025 special meeting and November 25th, 2025 regular meeting. Acknowledge receipt of monthly contract report from November 17th, 2025 to November 30th, 2025. Final reading of bill number 6622, an ordinance approving the second contract renewal of the tourism and marketing services contract between the City of Branson and the Branson Lakes Area Chamber of Commerce and Convention and Visitors Bureau, and authorizing the mayor to execute the contract. Final reading of bill number 6623, an ordinance approving the renewal of the contract contract with Taney County Health Department for public health services and authorizing the mayor to execute the contract. Final reading of bill number 6624, an ordinance appointing Thomas Motley as municipal judge and approving the contract with the Motley Law Firm PC for municipal judicial services and actions related thereto. Final reading of bill number 6625, an ordinance approving the intergovernmental agreement with Taney County for reimbursement payment to the Taney County General Aviation Airport and authorizing the mayor to execute the agreement. And final reading of bill number 6627, an ordinance approving the Show Me Zero program agreement with Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission and authorizing the mayor to execute the documents related thereto. Your Honor, that concludes the reading of the consent agenda.
Do I have an motion approving all items on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
A motion is second. Madam Clerk, would you provide a roll call vote on the consent agenda?
Lucas? Howden?
Yes.
Didham?
Yes.
LeBlanc?
Yes.
Schultz?
Yes.
The result of the vote is 5-0. Motion carries. Your Honor, the next item is the public hearing on 2025 5-year TIF report for Branson Landing, Branson Hills, and Aquarium at the Boardwalk redevelopment project.
We will now have, we'll now open this up for public hearing and begin with the staff report from Allison. Hello, Allison.
Hello. So every 5 years, we have to report on the active TIFs. So tonight, reporting on the years 2020 through 2024. And the active TIFs during that period were the Branson Landing, the Branson Hills, and the Aquarium at the Boardwalk. So a TIF is a method of encouragement for redevelopment. The basics of a TIF are their 23-year terms where the city negotiates TIFs and contracts, and then the board approves those contracts. There's the base and the increment, so 100% of incremental payments in lieu of taxes will go back to the developer or a bond, and then 50% of incremental economic activity taxes will go back to the bond or the developer as incentives to do the redevelopment. For a TIF to be considered, it has to be a blighted or conservation area, and then a but-for test has to be done and prove that the development would not happen but for having the TIF and having that extra revenue to support the development. And then the 5-year report is required by Missouri law. So here we have the base and the increment a little explained in a little bit more detail. So the increment, so we have, let me start with the base. So the property that isn't redeveloped, the assessed value would say it's $1,000 with the total levy of $5 per $100 of assessed valuation with total revenue coming to the taxing districts of $50. So that is the base amount for the property tax. And then you have the increment. So then once the redevelopment is done, the property tax value increases. So now you have the assessed valuation of $100,000 with the same levy of $5 per $100 of assessed value, with the total revenue being $5,000. Instead of that $5,000 going to the taxing districts, those taxing districts would still get that base amount of $50, and then the increase of $4,950 would go back to pay on the bond or back to the developer. And then here we have the TIF area, plan, and project. So when we're doing a TIF, we do the redevelopment area. The area is which is a whole blighted or conservation area. The TIF and redevelopment area is defined by the city and described in the plan, and each redevelopment area can have multiple redevelopment project areas. The redevelopment plan is the overall blueprint for the assistance of the development in the given area, and then we have the redevelopment project, and this is specific projects described in the redevelopment plan, and each plan can have multiple projects. So we'll start with the Branson Landing. It began in 2002 and it was amended in 2005. It was a blighted area of 208 acres on the lakefront for mixed use, which is commercial, convention center, and infrastructure improvements. The total cost of this development was $176 million, and then there were 4 projects within that plan. And then the city owns that land and we lease it back to HCW, and this is a super TIF. Moving on to the revenue sources that go back to pay on the Branson Landing. So here's a list of revenue sources. This revenue comes in, this is the revenue that's collected for the Branson Landing, and we take this revenue and go back to pay on those bonds that were taken out for that redevelopment project. And those bonds were issued by the city, so that is our debt. And we bring in about 11 million a year, sometimes 12 million, so we're on track to bring in 12 million this year in 2025.
Excuse
And-
me, Allison, before
yes.
you continue, would you describe what a super TIF is compared to a regular TIF?
Yeah, so that means the state, all the 1.5% taxes go back to pay on the bond. So all of the tax collections go back to pay on that bond, and that's what makes it a super TIF.
So 100% goes back on a super TIF?
Yep.
And on other TIFs, 50% goes back, correct?
Yes, correct. Thank you, Mayor. So here we have the Branson Landing TIF area, and this is where the taxes are collected that go back to the Branson Landing to pay on those development bonds. Moving on to Branson Hills. Branson Hills began in 2004. It was a blighted area on 141 acres. This is for retail shopping, and the total project cost was $65 million. And this project was in 3 phases, and all phases are now complete. And then here we have that breakdown. This is not a super TIF, and you can see the breakdown that goes to shops. So they get 50% of their sales tax collections to go back to pay on that bond. The city also issued these bonds, so the bonds are in the city's name, and it is our debt. And we bring in a little over $5 million a year in the Branson Hills Shops District. And then here we have the Branson Hills North side, which is like the Home Depot side, and it's also 50%, and then that goes back to pay on the bonds as well. And the tax breakdown is the same. And then here is that area. So you see the north and then the south side of the shops. Moving on to Aquarium at the Boardwalk. This is our newest TIF development, besides for the one that we passed in 2025 that we don't have to report on tonight. So Aquarium at the Boardwalk began in 2019. This is a pay-as-you-go TIF, and it's not to exceed $7 million. It was a blighted area, and in Project 1, it was 1.64 acres of the 13-acre lot was redeveloped. And the total project cost was $50,939,633. And then here you can see the sales tax revenue that's collected there and the property tax revenue that goes back to the developer to pay on those bonds. So this is a pay-as-you-go TIF, so the revenue that we collect from that TIF goes back to pay on those bonds and goes to the developer, and then we have a stop at $7 million. So once we reach that, they will not get any more money for that redevelopment project. And then here is that redevelopment area for that TIF district. And then here is the debt progression for the Branson Landing and the Branson Hills. So this is just the breakdown of debt that we have as city that is due to those TIF obligations that we currently have. So you can see that the Branson Landing ends in 2028 and Branson Hills ends in 2029. And we pay about $10 million a year on for bonds for the Branson Landing and about $6 million for the Hills. And there is a total of $50 million in outstanding bonds on Branson Landing and $19 million on Branson Hills. Are there any questions about any of our TIF districts or the debt that we owe on these developments?
That was a lot of information in a short period of time. I want to remind everybody that all of this information is on our city website. So anybody who wanted to go back and review any of the numbers or even listen to Allison's presentation is more than welcome to do that. Any aldermen have any questions? Artie?
Thank you. In regards to the 2005A IDA Branson Hills TIF, it says that matures May of 2027. Is that when they will no longer be collecting assessments?
Nope, we will no longer be collecting in 2029, and the bond is due before that TIF ends.
So why does it say May of 27 is the maturity date?
The maturity date of the bond owed on that TIF development is due. That bond will be paid off, and then we'll go to pay 2005B. So we're paying the original bond off of 2005A, and we're going to pay the second portion of that bond, which is 2005B, after 2005A is paid off. So that's why we want to pay off that bond before the TIF ends, so we're still collecting the revenue to pay on the bonds.
Question?
Sure.
Can you just comment on the likelihood of paying down the bonds from the tax revenue sources versus what the city might have to underwrite given its current trajectory?
So we currently have a plan for the next few years and those balloon payments that are due in 2027 without refinancing the debt on the current obligations that we have. Yes, the TIF will end in 2028, and you can see there we have a maturity date of 2034 for for the Branson Landing, we have plans to pay for that with the current obligations that were coming in. We'll lose the other districts that are currently paying into that. So some property tax from the other taxing districts, we will no longer get that revenue. But with the revenue that we're already allocating from the sales tax collections, we will have enough sales tax collections. We currently have enough sales tax collections to make those payments in those future years without those other taxing districts. So what we're already allocating there, we'll continue to allocate it until the bond is paid.
And the same with Branson Hills?
Yes, the same thing there as well. The city will just use those current obligations and continue to pay on them until the bond is paid.
But is that a necessary refinancing then of bonds?
We currently are looking at it to not refinance, and we are projecting the income to be there to not have to refinance and make these payments. So in 2027, you can see that there's 2 maturity dates there with pretty big balloon payments, and we're already looking at that budget to say we have enough funds.
That's great, Allison.
And there's also some reserve funds that you are required to hold on those bonds. So you can, once that debt is matured, you can take those reserve funds and apply it to that. So that's also helping us in this case to not have to refinance.
That's great news. Any other questions from the alderman? Hearing none, any questions or comments from the audience? Hearing none, we're not voting on this. So, Allison, we really appreciate you presenting this. And I did not have the opportunity, I'd like to take it now. The amount of work and detail that you put into our 2026 budget was extremely impressive. I just want to give you a thank you for that.
Thank you, Mayor, and glad to have you back.
Thanks, Allison. Need to close the public meeting on that.
And our next item is an update on city government transparency and public engagement initiatives and accomplishments.
We're going to report from Alex Gerard.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. Mayor, nice to have you back. It's fantastic. Here today to walk you through our annual report for 2025 regarding transparency and public engagement initiatives here at City Hall. If you may remember back in 2024, this board put it into code, the importance to have this report delivered every year in a public setting to the Board of Aldermen. And so we're really going to walk you through and highlight some of the progress we've had this last year at City Hall in accomplishing these objectives. So first, let's talk about what is transparency in government. What actually does that mean? Government transparency is our obligation to ensure public trust by being open, accountable, and honest with citizens both on how it is conducting business and spending tax dollars. There's a number of methods, of course, to make that a reality, but in particular, we're focusing on proactive and interactive communication, citizen feedback and input, and public participation, easy access to public meeting documents, and effortless self-service of information through digital channels. Primarily here, this administration has really championed this board's direction to make City Hall more transparent, efficient, and interactive across all of city government. There's 2 main ways that we accomplish this. It's through public engagement and interaction, and also accountability and openness. And I'll say, when it comes to public interaction and engagement, it's more than just availability of data. It's also about direct communication on what your government and how your government is working for you. On accountability and openness, we're constantly striving across City Hall and all the departments so that all staff champion and embrace that city tax dollars are the people's money, not the government's money, and they absolutely request and earn a return on their investment. Having been on the federal and state level, just want to give you a little bit of understanding of how city government versus the state and federal level is on transparency. FOIA, the Freedom of Information Act, that's primarily the federal mechanism for basically public record requests. They have 20 business days, 20 working days for FOIA to be accomplished in federal statute. Here at City Hall, it's 3 working days. And in fact, we actually get it on average done through our sunshine requests in 1.9 days. Public interaction, town halls, and the Federal Register. access to financial data, so that's like the Government Accountability Office, procurement regulations, public official disclosure, Office of the Inspector General, Office of the Missouri State Auditor. And so really you can kind of break it down, at least on the federal level versus the city level. It's focused on three things: access to information, open procurement policies, and official conduct. I will say, did you know that Congress is actually exempt from FOIA? You are not, as aldermen. Solon will remind you all. These are just a few of the ways and a lot of the services and tools we offer here. PrimeGov, of course, open meetings and agendas. So that's that open transparency and interaction with the public, right? Access to data. Civic Plus, report an issue, comment, crime, stormwater concern, nuisance, water sewer issue. Those actually get directed right to city administration. We handle those and triage those out to departments. And we have a fantastic track record of everything from translating them to our police department for records or sunshine requests. It's a very responsive process. We, of course, live stream and catalog all of our public meetings. We do records requests, sunshine requests. And then we have a few proactive programs. Our Open for Business, our red tape review submission form that we have on our website. Also, citizen boards and committees are a huge way that we get input from the public and participation in a lot of the operations and direction of the city. We obviously post all of our past reports and financial information on our website as well. And of course, even this past year, we actually have a dedicated email address for public comment at bransonmemo.gov. So to give you just a couple more ways that we're fostering transparency here at City Hall, as I mentioned, it's 20 business days on the federal level. We get it done here in 2 days. That's a huge attribute to our city clerk's office. I checked in with them, and on average, they're doing 1.9 days versus the state statute mandatory 3. So huge credit to them. They're cutting that down by at least a day. That's really important, and that's a huge kudos to them for transferring all that information out.
Thank you, Hillary.
Agendas and all meeting items are posted for the public. 24 hours per state statute. We're supposed to get that posted. We try to do that on the Friday before the Tuesday meeting to give folks time to look at that, to ask questions, to contact their alderman if they have questions. And recently we changed the city code to keep video recordings of all of our city meetings for 10 years. Actually longer than retention currently requires. What's kind of interesting too is all of our ordinances that have been passed since 1913, the city's inception, are available on our city website to date. And of course, we have our available online and through our website, our municipal code book that shows all of our city ordinances. A couple key things I want to highlight in 2025. And going back to the initial slide, right, it's about public interaction, engagement, and accountability and openness. Those are the two goals. And so through our communications efforts, you'll see and highlighted here in yellow just some of the explosive growth that we've experienced in communicating with probably our visitors, but more importantly, our residents here in Branson. We have about 7.6 million views on social media. We have about a 47% increase from last year on content interactions. Our page visits have went up. Our followers, right, those that follow and are plugged into our communications and want to actually be involved in our content that we put out, is an 89% increase. And of course, now we have about 26,000, 27,000 followers on our Facebook page. I want to say, primarily, this success is really attributed to following the basics of good public sector communication, which is timely, engaging, and consistent content. We're communicating more openly about project milestones, construction timelines, key updates, opportunities for input, service impacts, all the things that relate to the daily life of being a Branson resident, of things that impact them, things that they can comment on, things that they need to know about, and just serving as a great information source. We've also taken a step further. And so when you do really large projects, whether it's Hiawatha Heights or particularly the TIF project, we came up with one-pagers. And we went out to the public early, often, and consistently on open information and accurate information to try to meet folks where they are. And so that's different than just in the past putting on a Facebook post, or maybe it's on the agenda for 24 hours, great. But we're taking the extra step on the items that are really big, large financial amount, large impact to the community, going out and doing the legwork on the policy and communication front to really make sure that everyone knows what's going on and they have the opportunity to get engaged. Some great things we've accomplished in 2025 that you'll see roll over to 2026 for implementation. We've developed our open finance transparency model. This is huge. This will talk about our budgets, our revenues, our expenditures, our fund balances, all real information. We're going to get that launched early in January 2026. We're going through the testing phase right now. But the average citizen will be able to go out to our website and look at all this financial information. Now, of course, we do finance committee meetings quarterly where we post all of these types of summaries and spreadsheets. But now it's going to be in real time. And so that's pretty cool. That's a really exciting new leaf of transparency that we're rolling out. In addition, we've done a lot of red tape review and lean government initiatives across the city, from our land clearance to our food trucks to short-term rentals to building permit fees, really engaging the public through all of those different policy initiatives, getting comments, engaging the stakeholders where they are to make sure we're putting forth the best policy for our community. The clerk's office has taken a huge effort to digitize all of the paper going back many, many decades that we have in city storage, going through those, scanning those, and through making those digital, they actually become available then. They're searchable versus, in a box somewhere, right? Our Citizen Serve refresh, this is a huge review to make things more user-friendly. This is the public engagement side. This is one of those tools that the public routinely interacts with government on, and we want to make that the best experience as possible. And so we've been going through and finding ways to make that process better, to have conditional logic, so when you submit in, it's everything that our staff needs to do a timely and quick review. And this is kind of exciting too, especially when it relates to public engagement and just how government works for you. Our business licensing module. So that in February of 2026, that will be going online. Currently, we process about 4,600 business licenses by hand, paper. You come to City Hall, you get a paper application, or you get it mailed to you in the mail by our staff, fill it out, get all your forms, come on down to City Hall, pay the fee, get all your documents, stamped and notarized and whatever. And so that's going all online. You can do it all online. Now, if you can imagine 4,600 applications, that's not only just the huge amount of burden and stress that goes on folks to get all those documents together from the public, but it also then means multiple staff hand going through that, hand tabulating, making sure everything is all correct. And so that's going to really streamline a lot of different ways. Also with notifications. Through Citizen Serve, we'll actually be able to do text messages. Currently right now, it's about 24 hours to get a building inspection. But in the future, coming up this next, in the first quarter, you actually get text messages for your permits. Hey, we have an inspection scheduled today. If you've ever went to the hospital, right, and you have a doctor's appointment, reply Y to confirm, no to reschedule or cancel, that service is coming too. And that's just another way of using technology, using the digital space to try to interact with our constituents that we serve. And then, of course, the Comprehensive Planning Committee, which speaks for itself on just how important stakeholder input it is into shaping the next few decades of city government. Oops. And then lastly, I wanted to highlight a really important part of public engagement, which is really in the trenches, and that's all of our city capital projects. I wanted to use our downtown Phase 4 streetscape project because that truly set the standard for what projects should be in the municipal space for capital. And so, obviously that's results, right? It's record time from concept to reality getting done. It's the fastest and most transparent phase of the entire project. But that's done through really methodical steps that Michael and his team thought through of doing multiple community meetings, walking. I mean, Michael almost every day, 7 a.m. goes down there before work, walks the street. The end of the day, walks the street, having its own dedicated webpage on the city where every week we're doing updates. We did text messaging services too as well to all the impacted storefront owners where they could get live updates. They don't have to just look on a social media page and hope we post something. They have a dedicated webpage for it, and every week there's a substantial update of what to expect next week and all the progress that's been done this week. Setting clear timelines, dates, and deadlines, and project milestones, and then actually accomplishing them. And of course, just the media outreach, from Facebook to press releases to social media, really getting ahead of a lot of the project life cycles and milestones, communicating that out and taking that input seriously when you actually get it. And so I really wanted to highlight this project because I don't think when you look at some of our state partners or agencies, when they maybe do construction projects, it's a different experience. And so I just really wanted to highlight the tempo and the expectation we're setting here at the city. With that, just a couple helpful contacts for those that might reference this PowerPoint in the future. City Administration, Citizen Helpline, Utility Billing and Planning Department. And of course, a couple links here for reporting a concern or request for records. Thank you.
Wow, Alex, I'll tell you, for everybody here and everybody listening online, the report that you just heard is so admirable. And if you really listen and go back and listen to what Alex shared, that is just amazing. I can tell you that your Board of Aldermen, since 2021, so the last 4 years, your Board of Aldermen insisted that we open up the city for communication, reports, that everything the city does is open and transparent to our community. Remember that, Marshall? Yep. Ruth? Ralph? You remember that? Yep. So, and every board we've had since then has just remained so committed to the transparency to our community. Kathy and Alex were given the direction from our board to make it happen, and we could not be more pleased to hear a report like that of all the things that have been done for our community. I'm going to tell you, in my experience, that's second to none. In addition to that, Kathy and Alex, again, along with all the directors, all 10 directors we have at the city, should be highly commended when you hear about the updates and the transparency and keeping our community updated on what's going on in our city. That's stronger than bear's breath. That'll be it. That quote may be picked up by our media. We'll see. So I could not be more pleased. And I am so glad you put this report together to share with all of us what you've been doing. That is an awful lot of work.
Thank you, Mayor.
So thank you. Any other aldermen have any comments or questions?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, just a side note, it's kind of interesting that I have kind of colleagues across the country that are also either at a municipal level or state level, and when I tell them some of the things that we're doing and how we're doing it, and they still ask me, like, how are you guys doing that when we're saying on time and under budget for so many of our projects? They just can't fathom that it's happening, and you know, it's to the directors and our administrative staff that is making this happen, because you know, we just give them direction and they take it, and you know, they all wish they could be here working with us, and I'm proud to be part of this. And so, you know, thank you to this board for getting behind it, and thank you to our staff and administrative staff for doing everything you guys do. And I know sometimes it's a heavy lift, but you guys just buckle down and do it, and thank you so much for that level of commitment. It's super important for this community, and they've needed it for a long time.
Yeah. Thank you, Ralph. Any other questions, comments? Any questions, comments from anybody in the audience? Hearing none, again, Alex, I really want to thank you for putting that report together and showing our community what's being done at their city hall.
Thank you, Mayor.
Your Honor, this is the first reading, bill number 6631, an ordinance amending section 62-46 of the Branson Municipal Code pertaining to advisory park board.
So you've heard the first reading of Bill 6631. Do I have a motion approving this bill?
Second.
We have motion and a second, and we'll get a report from our favorite Cindy Shook.
Mr. Mayor, members of the board, this ordinance proposes a change to Section 62-46 of the Branson Municipal Code pertaining to rules and procedures of the Advisory Park Board. The current code states that meetings will be held at least once monthly to discuss park business. The proposed amendment would remove the requirement for fixed monthly meetings and instead authorize meetings to be held as needed to support timely discussion of parks business and agenda priorities. The Advisory Park Board voted unanimously to support the proposed change to the Board of Aldermen for their approval. Staff recommends approval of the bill. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
So are there any members of the board wishing to speak regarding this matter? Marshall?
Hey Cindy, how's it going?
Hey.
So I served on the Parks Board for a long time. I don't serve on there anymore. But I'm just curious, did this come from your brainchild? Is that kind of something that you brought? We've had discussions in the past, but I'm just curious kind of the genesis.
So it actually came from some of our members. They actually asked for it. I put it on the agenda a while back, but we would always not have a quorum when that happened. And so it actually got brought up by members again. I think what's, happened is, we found like this year, I think we're only going to have, with some of our lack of quorum meetings, 6 or 7 meetings. And so what we saw was our members are still really engaged, they're still really communicating, and we're not sacrificing that quality. And so but it is more mindful of people's time because we have people on the board that they're involved in their kids' programs all the time, right? They're always traveling to sports and they have to miss the meetings. Well, that's okay because those are the kind of people we definitely love having on the board. So I think this year was a great example. It had come up in the past, but it came up again that, and the other thing is we prepare for the meetings and they get canceled. So I think just making sure we have really good quality meetings and maybe having a few less meetings. And this board loves to have conversation and loves to talk about parks, and that's not going away. So hopefully that explains it.
I get it. I guess just ultimately from my heart, I see it just ever so slightly differently. And I guess my perspective is that when we do kind of struggle for a quorum sometimes, I don't know that every other month would be the right time to meet that quorum. And so I guess what I'm saying is, let's say there's a January meeting, there's a February meeting, and a March meeting. Well, I almost think it's kind of a shot in the dark whether you're going to have a quorum for all those. But let's say everyone was available in February, but we decided only to have a January and a March meeting kind of thing. To me, and why I guess I've always been in my heart of hearts just ever so slightly against this, with all due respect, is just because I think having those monthly meetings, it just allowed for the opportunity for a quorum to be gained. And I have to say, and this is kudos to you, Cindy, is that every single time that we didn't reach our quorum, you brought some fascinating information and that we all kind of gathered together. And so, I guess that's kind of a little bit of my struggle with this. Nothing against anybody who thought of it or anything like that. Just kind of my thoughts on kind of procedure and marching forward, what would be kind of the best action. So Yeah,
it makes sense. I think this is definitely more in line with kind of what our committees are. I think we meet more than any other committee in the city. And like I said, that's definitely not going away. We don't want that to happen. Ruth has been on our board for several months now, and I think we didn't always get a quorum, but we are offering, obviously somebody can dial in and do that. And I think for our point, our chair mentioned, we can have more meetings, we can have less meetings. This requirement doesn't say, hey, you have to have a meeting every month. That's kind of what we've talked about every other month, but we can have more than that. And I think what the board discussed was, let's really settle on these meetings and really try to commit to them. And so that's kind of part of the discussion last month.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I first of all want to thank Cindy and her staff, and I know they go above and beyond to gather all the information to put on the agenda. That's a lot of work for when there can't be a quorum. Cindy's an amazing communicator, so if anything needs to be passed on, Cindy takes the time to explain everything so well. So she and her staff, I'm sure, will get the information to us that we need and gather the quorum whenever it's necessary. And if something needs to be discussed, I'm sure you will just continue to reach out to us and have timely meetings when we need to have them. Thank you for all that you do.
Appreciate that.
Cindy, with issues with the quorum, do you make it available for committee members to be able to attend meetings via Zoom?
Definitely. So that's pretty common that happens. I think, again, we have really active members.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, Scott McCauley, you know, he's called his games a lot and all, but those are the best people that you want on the board, right? And so I think, again, that's why we settled on the meetings that we have had, and I think Ruth can testify to this, have been really good. They've been great quality. I mean, we love getting feedback. I mean, Alex was just talking about how important it is for board and citizen input, and I think that's really critical of the Parks Department. Of all departments, you know, we don't really exist without our customers. You know, every other department has built-in customers, utilities, police, everybody else. We don't. So, I mean, unless we do a good job and take input, I mean, that's critical to us, and definitely that is not my intention to change. I don't think that's what our board members want either.
Yes, I'm very supportive of this amendment.
Kathy?
I think just to address Alderman Howden's comments, right now, the way the ordinance is written, is this correct, Cindy, that it wouldn't allow us to meet more than once a month if something was more pressing and urgent, versus this amendment, the way that's been crafted, is that it would allow us to do that,
Absolutely.
right? So
Yeah.
that's the nice thing about it, is to allow us that flexibility on an as-needed basis that we don't have now.
Yeah, sometimes we've had to, you know, things have come up with alderman schedules or people's schedules, and we've had to, you know, cancel or reschedule. And so I do think this provides more flexibility, as Kathy mentioned. So again, it's not our intention to, you know, not have park board meetings. That's not what anybody wants. I mean, the input is really important. I think, like I said, we meet probably more than any other board. And so this year, I think we'll meet 6 times, and those were really good quality meetings. And I think the board just thought, hey, let's take a cue from that and look at 2026.
That's great. Any other aldermen? Any members from the public? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it.
Thank you, and so glad to see you back, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Cindy.
Your Honor, this is a public hearing and first reading of Bill Number 6632, an ordinance approving the vacation of portions of the street right-of-way to correct the roundabout property located at 500 Branson Landing Boulevard and the intersection of Branson Landing Boulevard, Parnell Drive, Skaggs Road, and Veterans Boulevard, Branson, Missouri.
We'll now open up this public hearing and begin with a staff report from Amanda Ross.
Sorry. I did that, Chad. Can you reset me? Okay. All right, this is 500 Branson Landing Boulevard. It's a request to vacate a portion of Parnell Drive located within the roundabout near Branson Landing Boulevard. And the reason for this request is to clean up remnants of the right-of-way left after construction of the roundabout. The city doesn't need it to be served as right-of-way, and it's encroaching onto a portion of the adjacent residential driveway and a citizen request. Here's a visual. And so the Public Works Department has reached out to all potential affected utilities. The Public Water, Public Sewer, Liberty Utilities, and Summit Natural Gas are located within the subject area. Staff has drafted an easement agreement that will be recorded by separate document at the same time as this recording of the street vacation, which will act as a general utility easement, allowing for all utilities, public or private, to have access to this area if needed. Staff is recommending approval of this request, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
I know this has been a long time coming. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none. Questions, comments from the audience?
Mayor, do I count as the audience over here?
Of course you do. Actually, you may be part of the members of the board.
Well, Amanda, what year did all this get done? Or maybe Michael knows the answer to that.
Yeah, I believe it was, I believed it's been about 12 or 14 years, but Michael could probably.
Yeah, and I just wanted to highlight that because I think people just kind of gloss over that. It's actually kind of a big deal. This is something that's needed to be done for a very long time, required a lot of work, and the staff that worked on it did a great job, and it's good to have it cleaned up. So that's a long time.
It is, and with that, staff would like to ask for a double read, with this being the only Board of Aldermen meeting in December, just so we can get this cleared up in 2025.
I think that request will be considered if you get approval on the first read.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the audience? Michael, did you have something to share? Oh,
I'll be presenting right after this, and Mr. Orr is actually in the audience too, and may want to speak to the effort that's gone into this. So we'll let this one read through, and you know, it went to your planning commission, the vacation did, and so overwhelming results there, right, to take care of business. So that's what we're working on tonight, and thanks for hearing us out.
thank you. Mr. Orr, do you want to share? Yes, you do, please. Everybody wants to hear you.
I've lived there 25 years, so 13 years before the roundabout. This was talked about when we did it originally. They were going to leave Parnell because I have a storage shed back there, and they were going to leave me a driveway into there. And I said, if you do that, people are going to drive to that dead-end street, and they're going to be mad. They're going to have to back out. So can we make me a turnaround out of my driveway? And they said, yeah. And so I got to looking, and it's not mine. It's on city property. So if I die, my children are going to have to fight with the city. So 3 different city engineers. I'm very grateful to try to get it done. Grateful for Michael and his staff and what they've done, the work they've done. They've been very polite, very encouraging, and I'm grateful. So I'm hoping you'll approve it so I can be done. Thank you.
Thank you for that, those comments. I can assure you that our great city administrator, Kathy Stepp, and more importantly, Michael, we really have a great team here, so thank you for sharing that. Any other questions, comments from the audience? Hearing none, we will close this public comment and ask the board to see if we get a first reading of bill number 6632. Do I have a motion approving this bill?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any members of the board wishing to speak regarding this matter? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it.
Your Honor, I move to read Bill number 6632 for its final reading due to timing due to the holiday season.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Any members of the board wishing to speak to this matter? Anybody in the audience? Hearing none, please vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. Madam Clerk, would you please provide the introduction for this item?
Your Honor, this is the final reading of Bill number 6632, an ordinance approving the vacation of portions of the street right-of-way to correct the roundabout property located at 500 Branson Landing Boulevard and the intersection of Branson Landing Boulevard, Parnell Drive, Skaggs Road, and Veterans Boulevard, Branson, Missouri.
You sat down, you're assuming this is going to be approved?
My apologies. Does it help if I'm standing here, probably? Okay.
It does help.
I apologize.
We may have questions.
Okay.
So you've heard the final reading of bill number 6632. I have a motion approving this bill.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Hang on just one second. Well, let's do a
Oh,
roll call.
I'm sorry. The final reading, we need a roll call vote. Will you please, Hillary? Thank you.
Yes. Lucas,
Roll call.
Howden,
Yes.
Denham,
Yes.
LeBlanc,
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
The results of the vote is 5-0, motion carries.
Congratulations. This is a long time coming. You bet.
Your Honor, this is the first reading of Bill number 6633, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute a road easement agreement between the City of Branson and the Orr Family Trust pertaining to Branson Landing Boulevard roundabout.
You've heard the first reading of bill number 6633. Do I have a motion approving this
So
bill?
moved.
We have a motion and a second. We'll get a staff report from Mr. Michael Woods.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and again, it's great to see you back.
Thank you.
Leading us forward. So this is the second installment of the first part of the story. So you're vacating the property that was there, or the roadway that was there, and so that went through Planning Commission. Amanda presented that, got the double reads to get that taken care of, and now we're basically gonna overlay it with an easement and make sure we clean up all the lot lines that are there. So as we've already kind of discussed a little bit, so the surprise is out already. The road easement agreement is between the city and the Orr family trust to remain access to the utilities that are located in there. And this basically sets up a document that lets you do what you need to do on the property moving forward while cleaning up ownership and allowing for his driveway. He approached me as Keith was exiting the community, and it takes a little bit to get there. I'm thankful for Matt's efforts in this. This is a huge undertaking to go out there and make sure it's surveyed correctly and get the surveys and get them all cleaned up. And thankful to legal, and I would not accept the answer of, we'll get it in January. So I appreciate the double reads tonight also, and thank you to legal and Matt. Happy to answer any questions. That's just the overview of the picture of the roundabout. Basically, they left it in a state of disarray of, we bought this piece of property, we did this, we didn't get rid of this street, and it just got kind of swept underneath, and happy to take it forward. Staff recommends.
Thank you very much, Michael. Any of the members of the board wishing to speak to this matter?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Michael, I appreciate what you said about I'm not taking no for an answer. We'll look at it in January because, as Mr. Orr got up and said, if something happened to me, my kids would have to, kind of deal with the city. And for 3, I guess, engineers past, having not necessarily ignored it, but, to make it a priority. And what was one of the busiest years in this city for infrastructure and projects, you didn't fall through the cracks. And it's because of this leader here and these leaders and directors that are out there. And so thank you guys for making this board look good. Appreciate it.
Takes all of us, for sure.
Yeah.
Even legal.
Anyone in the audience wishing to speak to this? Hearing none, this is a second read, so let's have first read, I'm sorry. So let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it.
Your Honor, I move to read Bill number 6633 for its final reading due to timing and so that Mr. Orr's family can have a little peace of mind.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any members of the board wishing to speak to this? Anybody in the audience? Hearing none, please vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. Madam Clerk, would you please provide an introduction for this item?
Your Honor, this is the final reading of Bill number 6633, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute a road easement agreement between the City of Branson and Orr Family Trust pertaining to Branson Landing Boulevard Roundabout.
You've heard the final reading of Bill 6633. Do I have a motion approving this bill?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any aldermen wishing to speak to this? Any members of the audience?
Mayor, can I say something on this, actually? I was
bet.
debating whether I did.
You bet.
But I just want to share my thoughts on one of the reasons why maybe this took so long. As I was sitting over here reflecting on it, I didn't do a ton of work on this. Michael came to me with this one, and I was able to have the luxury of handing it off to one of our assistant city attorneys. And truly, I think in years past, because we didn't really have that luxury, they had to triage what was important and what was really dire and needed in the city. And they were barely swimming with their heads above the water. I can just tell you there's no way they would have been able to prioritize something like this. It was probably just, oh, we'll get to it when we get to it. And maybe without the teamwork and the collaboration between Public Works and the legal team and the other people involved, maybe they didn't feel comfortable doing it because they still had some unanswered questions, and you get a little bit of paralysis in that process sometimes. So I'm truly grateful that the board supported us in creating the legal team, because I think these are some of the results that you see from that.
Solomon, thank you for saying that. Actually, you know what? When I became involved with the city as an alderman, excuse me, at that time, we had one city attorney, and his role was not only as city attorney, he was also our city prosecutor. You imagine one attorney doing both jobs? And so, again, with Kathy's leadership and the board support, we wanted to have a legal team. Solon really encouraged that and helped us create that. And Mr. Orr, I think the gratitude really comes from the board supporting Solon and creating this legal team. Because it took a lot of work to get this done. So thank you very much. With that, anybody in the audience wishing to speak to this? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you provide a roll call vote, please?
Lucas? Howden?
Yes.
Denham?
Yes.
LeBlanc?
Yes.
Schultz?
Yes.
The result of the vote is 5-0, motion carries.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Mr. Orr, for your patience.
Your Honor, this is the first reading of Bill Number 6634, an ordinance approving the contract with Communications Equipment Company, LLC, for a lease on a site located off Elm Shade Drive and authorizing the mayor to execute the contract.
You've heard the first reading of Bill 6634. Do I have a motion approving this bill?
So moved.
We have a motion to second. We'll get a staff report from Ted Martin. Hello, Ted.
Good evening. Good to see Leanne's back. Rock star. I know.
That's right.
In 2015, the City of Branson and Communications Equipment LLC entered into its first agreement for its intended lease on Elm Shade Drive and since renewed the contract in 2020 for an additional 5 years. The City of Branson installed a voted receiver system site to enhance the police and fire radio communications in the area of Missouri 165 on the south side of the city. The site is located off Elm Shade Drive within our city limits. The contract is renewable over 5 years. That's why we have to bring it to you. With programmed annual increases over that 5-year time period in the contract to be renegotiated in 2030. The annual lease payment is $3,836 with a 3% increase each year, and it's programmed into our budget. I am asking for a double read tonight. My understanding from staff is that there's been a death in the family of ownership. Ownership names have changed. We need to clean up this contract as well and finish it by the end of the year. So we appreciate a second read as well.
Let's get the first one done first. Any comments from the board? Any comments from the audience? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it.
Your Honor, I move to read Bill Number 6634 for its final reading due to timing.
Do I have a second?
Second.
So we have motion and a second. Any members of the board wishing to speak to this? Any members in the audience? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. Madam Clerk, would you please provide the introduction for this item again?
Your Honor, this is the final reading of Bill Number 6634, an ordinance approving the contract with Communications Equipment Company, LLC, for a lease on a site located off Elm Shade Drive and authorizing the mayor to execute the contract.
You've heard the final reading for Bill 6634. Do I have a motion approving this bill?
So moved.
Any members of the board wishing to speak to this matter? Any members of the audience? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you provide a roll call vote?
Lucas?
Yes.
Howden?
Yes.
Denham?
Yes.
LeBlanc?
Yes.
Schultz?
Yes.
The result of the vote is 5-0, motion carries.
Thank you.
Your Honor, this is the first reading of Bill Number 6635, an ordinance approving the release and termination of 2 easements with Branson Mariner LP and authorizing the mayor to execute the contract.
You've heard the first reading of Bill 6635. Do a motion approving this bill?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. We'll get a staff report from Kendall Powell.
I'm not quite Kendall, but I'm
Hello,
highways
Kendall.
utilities, yeah.
Hello, Kent. Well, this will be shorter.
There you go. The owner of the Branson Manor Apartments located at 218 South Old Country Road has requested the city's assistance in clearing their property title by releasing and terminating the 2 temporary easements granted to the city in 1977 for construction of the subdivision's public sewer system. These easements are no longer needed for city operation and maintenance. City staff has reviewed the request and supports the lease and the termination of both temporary easements. One easement consists of a 10 feet wide tract of land approximately 222 feet in length along the Old Country Road right-of-way on the west side of the Branson Manor property. The second easement consists of a 10-foot wide tract of land, approximately 335 feet in length, along the Cliff Drive right-of-way on the east side of the Branson Manor property. Here for any questions you might have.
Any members of the board wishing to speak regarding this matter? Any member of the audience? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it.
Your Honor, I move to read Bill number 6635 for its final reading due to timing.
We have a motion and a second. Any members of the board wishing to speak to this? Any members of the audience? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. Madam Clerk, would you please provide the introduction for this item?
Your Honor, this is the final reading of Bill number 6635, an ordinance approving the release and termination of 2 easements with Branson Manor LP and authorizing the mayor to execute the contract.
You've heard the final reading of Bill 6635. Do a motion approving this bill?
So moved.
Any members of the board wishing to speak to this? Any members from the audience? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you provide a roll call vote for this final reading?
Lucas?
Yes.
Howden? Denham?
Yes.
LeBlanc?
Yes.
Schultz?
Yes.
The result of the vote is 5-0. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mayor. Great to have you back.
Your Honor, this is the first reading of Bill number 6636, an ordinance approving the addendum with UMB Bank N.A. for custody services agreement and authorizing the mayor to execute the contract.
You've heard the first reading for Bill 6636. Do I have a motion approving this bill?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We'll get a staff report from Allison.
Good evening once again. This item is approving an addendum with UMB Bank for investment custody services. This will extend the contract from January 7th of 2026 to January 7th of 2028 to extend that contract out 2 years. Do you guys have any questions?
Any members of the board have any questions? Any members from the audience? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it.
Your Honor, I move to read Bill number 6636 for its final reading due to timing.
So moved.
We have a motion, second, third. Any members of the board wishing to speak to this matter? Any members of the audience? Hearing none, let's vote. We're voting to approve the second read. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. Madam Clerk, would you please provide the introduction for this item?
Your Honor, this is the final reading of Bill number 6636, an ordinance approving the addendum with UMB Bank N.A. for custody services agreement and authorizing the mayor to execute the contract.
You've heard the final reading of Bill number 6636. Do I have a motion approving this bill?
So moved.
We have a motion, a second. Any members of the board wishing to address this? Any members in the audience? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you provide a roll call vote for this final reading?
Lucas?
Yes.
Howden?
Yes.
Denham? LeBlanc?
Yes.
Schultz?
Yes.
The result of the vote is 5-0. Motion carries. Your Honor, the next item is a resolution authorizing the location of public buildings for the Branson Police Station and Fire Station Number 4.
Thank you, Allison, for that. Do I have a motion adopting this resolution?
So moved.
We have a motion, a second. We'll get a staff report from Solon.
This is just a simple resolution to officially take a property that was purchased and was owned by a private entity and a property that was purchased with public funds and making the property actually a public property. So that's the police station and also the fire station, Fire Station Number 4. So police station located at 1 Justice Street and the Fire Station 4 located at 250 Champaign Boulevard to dedicate them as public buildings officially.
Any members of the board wishing to address this? Yes.
What does that official designation do?
Well, it lets the public know that they're public places. There are some legal implications to that. You know, if it's not a public place, then, you know, there's just things that aren't triggered because of that. So when we have a new building come online, that's what we do.
Does that mean if we don't pass this, we have to move them?
I don't know, no comment.
Any other questions from the aldermen? Any questions from the audience? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. No second read there, huh? Okay.
Your Honor, this is the first reading of Bill number 6637, an ordinance amending Section 2-388 of the Branson Municipal Code pertaining to records custodian.
You've heard the first reading of Bill number 6637. Do I have a motion approving this bill?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We'll get a staff report from Hillary herself.
Yes, so previously we added a section in code related to the city's sunshine law, which also addresses the maintenance of public records.
Excuse me a second. Can we enlarge that text, please?
And I can get to those changes here in just a
Okay.
second. I was going to do a quick background. So we just wanted to go a step further and formally codify what our process is for the records destruction. So Branson Municipal Code Section 2-181 and 2-388 both designate the city clerk as the custodian of records for the city of Branson, and this code amendment before you this evening just officially authorizes the city clerk to manage and administer the records destruction and formalizes the process is followed, yes, the process is followed consistently in accordance with Secretary of State guidelines. So we just added a section there at the bottom saying, due to the fact that I'm the custodian of records, that destruction can take place, and then we list out the process that we would take. So it would be a list of records that gets passed around to the appropriate city personnel, signed off on, and then it would be a secure shred, and that list would be kept as a permanent record of the city. I am happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
I just want to say, I think this is a great amendment to our ordinance. It's long past due. It relieves storing decades and decades of useless records. And coming back to the transparency issues, it also simplifies open record requests, because when somebody is inadvertently broad in their request, you have to potentially assess all those old records. So I think this makes our government more efficient. It's going to reduce storage cost for this kind of material that we really don't need, and it really brings us into compliance with what the state intended. So I just want to say thank you to the staff for bringing this up.
Any other questions, comments from the aldermen? Hillary, when we're shredding these, are these items that we have digitized?
These
Or they're
would,
just real old?
these would not be anything that we have digitized. So if we digitize a record, it's considered the original, so we could shred, that would be a copy. The paper version would be a copy. These are records that are only in existence on paper. Older records, which we honestly are seeing less and less of with all of the softwares. Alex's presentation with CitizenServe and all the softwares that are coming online, we're finding that a lot of our records now are digital.
Yeah. So how old, do you know how old these records are that we'll be shredding?
They vary. There are different record series. Some of them are
On
as far
tablets.
back as the 60s, and some of them just have shorter retention periods on them.
Older than Artie.
I did not say that.
No.
I'm not going to put that in the record.
No, she said back in the 60s. Artie was here long before the 60s. Okay, any members, let's see, the board's addressed. Any members in the audience wishing to speak to this? Hearing none, let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. We are now to the report section of our meeting, and we'll start off with Alderman Lucas.
Well, Mr. Mayor, you've heard it from many of us. Glad you're back, bud. But I really don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to your wife.
I don't blame you.
Leanne, having been a caregiver for somebody who has had a stroke, which, not what Larry had, but what you've had to contend with, I know you're a trooper, And I want you to know that there's not a member of the staff or the board that doesn't have your back. If you need any of us for anything, don't hesitate to call. Okay?
Thank you very much, Artie. Marshall?
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to take just a brief moment this evening because today is a bit of an anniversary for me. This is the first day to sign up for Alderman. And over the years, I've walked into City Hall 7 different times to put my name on that list. But tonight, sitting here, I want to say officially from this dais that I will not be running for re-election this year. I've already shared this with many in the community, but it felt right to say it here, in this chamber, where so much of my heart and my life have unfolded over these past few years. Serving the city has been one of the greatest honors of my life. I'm grateful for the trust, the conversations, the late nights, the partnerships, and the chance to play a small part in shaping a place that truly raised me essentially from birth. I'll have much more to say in the coming months as we continue to work together. But today, on this familiar date, I simply wanted to acknowledge that chapter turning and to thank everyone who has walked with me through those 7 sign-ups, which included many successes, a few setbacks, but overall, countless lessons learned along the way. Thank you.
And Marshall, I'm going to tell you, you have made a significant positive difference for our city. I want to thank you for your service. Ruth?
I really enjoyed tonight's meeting. It is just wonderful to hear all the successes that we have here at our city, and I wanted to tell Alex and Kathy, thank you very much. I am so happy my mayor's back. We've missed you. And thank you, Leanne. We are here if you need anything. Merry Christmas to everyone, because we won't be having another meeting, and have a happy new year, and we will see you next year.
Thank you, Ruth. Ralph?
I guess if I didn't say welcome back, Mayor, I'd just wouldn't be right. Mr. Mayor, welcome back. Leanne, thank you for everything that you've done. Got to see the police station open. Yes. Wow. What an endeavor. What a monumental feat that was. And Chief, for taking hold of that, and for, city administration getting behind it, and every single department had a hand in making that. And Michael Woods, yeah, for sure. Thank you so much. It was so great to walk through that building and just to hear everybody talk about a couple things. How amazing it looked, how big it was, and just how much it's going to serve this community for a long, long time. So that was great. Attended the Adoration Parade, got to be a float judge. My only comment was, boy, was it cold. Whew. Holy cannoli. No, actually, I just want to kind of share something with you from my hometown. 2 Homermen taken into custody after a rude debate escalates into a brawl in the grocery store parking lot. Homer, Louisiana, the town that I'm from, 2 Terrebonne Parish residents were taken into custody Monday afternoon following a physical altercation in the local grocery store parking lot over how to properly make a gumbo. According to the Homer Police Department, 45-year-old Leroy Shoepick Gotro of Chauvin and 48-year-old Wayne Crableg Duplantis of Homer initially engaged in a heated verbal debate around 12:30 p.m. during lunchtime regarding whether a traditional gumbo requires a roux. The disagreement quickly escalated to a physical brawl when both men reportedly started shoving each other and striking each other with wooden spoons and fists near parked vehicles. Witnesses described the scene as chaotic, noting the grocery store carts were overturned and several jars of filet powder splattered in the asphalt. Store staff intervened and called the authorities to de-escalate the situation. Police arrived on the scene and took both men into custody, charging them with disturbing the peace and reckless conduct in a public space. No serious injuries were reported. Both men were released later that afternoon after posting bond. This incident highlights the intensity of cultural debate surrounding Cajun cooking. Gautreaux insisted that flour-based roux is essential for an authentic gumbo, while Duplantis stated that an onion base is how his mama showed him how to do it, while shouting, "Roux is the stew," to Gautreaux. Store management confirmed that the normal parking lot operations resumed shortly after the altercation and reminded patrons to keep culinary disputes confined to the kitchen rather than public areas. Law enforcement officials emphasized that while spirited discussions about food are common in South Louisiana, physical confrontations, even over recipes, can result in legal consequences. This brawl has sparked a local discussion about tradition, culinary pride, and the limits of passionate debate in public spaces, proven that even at lunchtime discussion about a roux can turn into a bayou battle. We have two holidays, or two events coming up, or two seasons, let's say. The Christmas holiday season, so I'd remind you, do peace with your families and love them much. And then election season. You know, it's coming around the corner, and sometimes it gets heated, sometimes it, gets intense, but always remember at the end of the day, we're doing what's great for this community, and just respect one another, and again, do peace. And that's my final report for the year. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ralph. Glenn, can you top that?
I don't think so. I've got no recipes to share. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, for coming back and doing such a great job here again in the city. Really appreciate that. And I think, like you said, I think as aldermen, we also appreciate the great job that Clay Cooper did in your absence. He really stepped into a big role, rather unexpectedly, of course, and I think he did an admirable job throughout all that. So sorry he's not here to hear that tonight, but I certainly want to thank him for his work with us. I also want to echo what Ralph said about the police department. I had a ton of comments from citizens about what a great facility. They had no idea. I think they even learned a lot just about how the police department operates, Now people are using the term Sally Port and all sorts of other things that probably was never in their vocabulary before. So it was a huge success. Thanks, Chief, for putting that all together, having the Citizens Police Academy doing the tours. That all really worked out well, and I know the citizens truly appreciated the whole event. So thanks, and enjoy the new building. And we're looking forward to getting a few more parking spaces here now. The Christmas parade, the Adoration Parade was just wonderful. As we always say, we're glad to see our nativity set lit at the Schultz household because we stare directly at that across the lake every night. So glad to have it finally lit. The parade was definitely a cold one. All the crews that were working the parade, except for perhaps the judges, were out there at 3:30 or earlier already getting things set up and stayed out in that wind till probably 8, 9 o'clock at night to make sure everything was properly shut down. So it was a long day for a lot of city workers, a lot of volunteers. So thanks everybody for making it another very successful Christmas parade. It was great to see. And then finally, as everybody said, our last meeting before the holidays. So I wish everybody a blessed Christmas holiday.
Thank you, Glenn. Kathy?
Thank you, Mayor. Only thoughts I have would be for towards the year end and what a year it has been in this community. And you've heard about a lot of the different projects that we've done, besides just keeping the trains running on time with regular, everyday internal and business. It's very external facing. And I want to just take a moment to express my appreciation, not just for all of the staff who truly do. My director team gives of their spirit to their work. It's not just a job. It's not even just a career. It's really who they are. They are driven by the public servant spirit, which is so hard to find many times in government. I've worked in different levels of government, and never have I seen it so applied consistently and with fervor as I have on the local level. And what a blessing it is to be working in this community with the colleagues that I have by my side. You guys, you really make me look good. And I appreciate that so much. So for every accolade that you hear when my name gets graciously mentioned up here, please know that that directly reflects back to all of you, because without that team who's integrated and committed to the city that they love, we would never be able to have the compliments and the niceties that have been shared tonight and other nights. So thank you for that. And to my mayor, to our mayor, and to our first lady, I just want to share what a privilege it is to, in the most that I've been able to, share in this grueling and difficult journey that you have embarked upon in your lives. And never have I been so inspired by someone who clearly displays the heart of a lion as you do. And you have inspired me through the little things that I deal with my health, or, you start to complain about things, this hurts, that aches, whatever it is. And it gives you a whole lot of perspective when you see what the Milton family has been enduring, never losing faith, never losing positive energy. I don't know how you do it other than by divine intervention. And through your experience, you have not just enlightened me and encouraged me, but you have fortified my faith, my Christian faith, because I know that that's what's driving you, and that is the wind beneath your wings. And to our sweet Leanne, whom I've had the privilege to grow even closer to than I ever imagined we would, I treasure you, I treasure your friendship, and again, as a wife to another wife, you have inspired me to be even better at home. And God bless you both, and God bless all of you this holiday season. Thank you.
Yeah. Wow, how do you follow that? I'll ditto what Kathy said. Wow. It has been a great year. When we all look back at what was accomplished in Branson in 2025, it's remarkable. What I got out of our police station opening was a couple things. First and foremost, obviously the building's beautiful and blah, blah, blah. But what struck me the most was the morale and the comments that I received from the officers. Those officers, if you had a chance to interact with them, and when you have a chance to interact with them, you'll just see the skip in their step, right? They are so proud of their chief, what the chief has accomplished in that department. They are so proud of the physical improvements. I still continuously hear how long they've been promised a police department, new police headquarters. But I'll tell you what also got out of that was the spark in Chief Smith's eyes. Any of us that interacted with Chief Smith on that day, he looked like a kid at Christmas. He was so proud. He was proud to deliver this physical structure. He's so proud to have the morale and the officers that he has. His vision is being seen. I've talked to Chief Schmidt about this for years and years. And Chief, I'm really proud of what you've created over there. I'm proud of my team. You all know how proud I am of all of us at City Hall. And Kathy's right. She gets a lot of accolades. No, she gets a lot. She's so funny. And a lot of her accolades come from the directors that she has, the team that she has created here, and all the employees and their mindset of working it for the city of Branson. I'll tell you, it's second to none. I'm looking forward to next year, and I wish each and every one of you a Merry Christmas, a faithful and blessed Christmas, and let's remember what the season's all about. Amen. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. the last meeting of 2025 is officially adjourned.